Welcome to the Geek to Geek podcast. This is kind of a bonus episode. This is our first Geek Out episode. We've been planning on doing these. We didn't know when the first one would be, and here it is. The idea behind a Geek Out episode is that it has less structure than normal. You'll still get our normal episodes on either late Thursday night, early Friday morning. It all depends when I finish editing, but you'll get those like normal. Geek Out episodes are going to be if we have a quick topic that we want to cover, or if we have an interview that we want to do with someone and talk to them about what their geeky passion is. This is the first one of those. What are we talking about today, Beej?
Star Wars Rogue One trailer came out this morning, and it's awesome!
It's been out for about 12 hours, and I've watched it so many times. So many times. I love Star Wars. How many times have you watched it?
I've actually only seen it 5 times. I had a terribly busy day where I didn't have an opportunity, but that still allowed me to watch the trailer about 5 times today.
So we are recording this the same day it came out, which is when we normally record our episodes. You guys will probably get this one a little bit later this weekend, but I haven't really dug into forums yet. I haven't really looked at everything that the internet can dig up because we wanted to react to it together first.
And I figure my reaction should be a pretty good indication of how I felt about it when I told you guys what we were talking about. I don't even know where to start on this one,
It's
but
so
I guess
good.
I'll start on this. I wasn't excited about Rogue One until today, or really until last night when they did a teaser for the teaser, which is still a stupid idea. But even though it's new Star Wars, I could not get myself excited about it. There was just something, it being a side story, not being part of the main narrative, that as much as I love the tie-in novels and comics, I just didn't care that much about Rogue One. And then I saw that Shadow Trooper last night, and I lost my mind.
You did. You were freaking out over text, and
you should have heard me in my kitchen. It was on my couch actually. The kitchen was this morning. That was when the actual trailer came out.
Over Star Wars.
I did. I was amazed she didn't update her Facebook status about this and how I reacted to it, because I stop everything whenever a new Star Wars trailer comes out. I make everyone around me shut up, and last night we were just on the couch and I made her pause when you texted me that the teaser was up. I made her stop what we were watching and just like, no, new Star Wars right now. This is it. This is what's going on right now, and had to watch it. That is my Star Wars is priority number 1 in my life.
So it's good. It's only like 2 minutes, but it gives us a taste of what it's going to be. And like, this is the first Star Wars story that's not part of the main like trilogies. So the main trilogies are about the Skywalkers is what they've said. And the Star Wars stories, which are these anthology movies, are about anything else in the world. So this one is all about getting the Death Star plans in the time between episode 3 and 4. And the thing that hit me most about this trailer is that it feels so much like A New Hope. Like seeing those stormtroopers that are so iconic from the first Star Wars movie ever made, seeing like the old school Star Destroyers, seeing the Death Star again, it just struck a nostalgia chord with me so hard, and I didn't know that I was going to feel that way.
I know, that's exactly the way not exactly the way. I feel the same way, where it felt like a Star Wars movie, that I could not help but love it because it felt like my childhood. It actually feels more like a Star Wars movie, I guess, to me than the Force Awakens does, because of the nostalgia that's in there. That it truly, I saw these same set pieces, I saw these same costumes going on, and for me, it was inside the Rebel base in the temple on Yavin, in the Massassi Temple, or however it's pronounced. I don't pronounce things. I'm Southern. I saw it. I was like, yes, that is where they are. That this is definitely going to be gritty Star Wars again, and it really felt that way to me. I loved it.
That shot had X-Wings in it, and they look like X-Wings from the original movies, and it had rebels in rebel armor from the first movie, and like it just struck the chord of A New Hope so hard, and I was blown away. Like it took me right back to that same feeling from episode 4, from A New Hope.
And the action in it made me feel like the Star Wars movies. The way that they showed the shots of just people shooting around corners and actually being rebels about it, and being arrested, all of this, it felt like, and not even in the same way that Force Awakens did when I first saw the trailer for it, where it felt like Star Wars. This one I looked at, I was like, oh yeah, that's going to be a Star Wars movie. That is what I look for it's dirty. It looks grimy, and these people look gritty, and I loved it.
Well, and even like, I was amazed the sound effect. About halfway through the trailer, there's this big siren, a big klaxon that sounds, and it's straight out of episode 4. And I didn't realize how iconic that one siren was until it hit me in the trailer. And I was just kind of like, I got chills.
Yeah, and seeing the Death Star super laser getting put in.
Oh, with the shadow.
That being, oh my goodness! I was just my jaw actually dropped. This was seeing that. I can hear my wife getting mad at me for nerding out about this in the future, because I'm going to pick that apart, I'm sure, and read all of the visual dictionary stuff to learn how they move that giant disc through space. And she'd be like, they didn't really do that.
It's so,
but I do that with all Star Wars stuff. She's not that kind of person, but Star Wars stuff and me, I have to be toned down sometimes.
To see it in construction like that is so cool, because we haven't ever really gotten anything good from that time period. Like, it's still mostly a blank slate between episode 3 and episode 4, bridging the two trilogies that happened before The Force Awakens. So to see that finally starting to get filled in, I didn't know I was going to be so excited about it, Especially after the Death Star 2 in Return of the Jedi, I didn't think I was going to be excited about seeing a Death Star being put together. We've seen Death Star scaffolding before. We've seen this kind of stuff. But for some reason, this one felt so much different. I don't know why, but I loved it. Just seeing it go in there. It did. It was cool. Well, and then, we also got to look at all the new characters that I thought was cool. We don't know all their names yet, but we know that it seems like the main character is Jyn Erso. From what I can tell, I think that's her name. I think that's how it's pronounced. I love the line that she has. She goes,
"This is a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel."
Yeah.
It was just so perfect in like such a cheesy little way.
Yep. In the B-movie way that I love Star Wars for, that I'm not expecting something to ever go into like Criterion Collection. I'm expecting something to be fun to watch, and that's exactly what this trailer showed me. I have to ask, there were AT-ATs in palm trees on that planet. Was that not the coolest thing you've ever seen?
It was really cool, and it had definite undercurrents of like D-Day, like storming across the beach to almost certain death, not to make light of real world events, but
right.
You see them running across the beach at 4 AT-ATs, and it's like this small group of rebels, and it's like, for the first time, the Empire actually felt scary to me, because I'm seeing it from the perspective of just normal rebels instead of from Luke, who's a Jedi,
Yeah, that's exactly the way I felt about this, is that they were terrifying. That you look at the walkers in any of the others, they're not scary. You see them in pretty much, even they try in Rebels to make them scary, and I never got scared of them. It's like, wow, those things are just terrible. Why would you use those? Those are not intimidating at all. And then I see it in this trailer from, the one guy on the ground, running, and I'm like, oh, that would be awful. That's bad. I am so scared of those right now. Oh man, I don't, That was my reaction of watching those. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
And the rumor is that Vader is going to be in this movie. And right. I think that this movie is going to make Vader terrifying for a new generation. Because by the time I watched Star Wars, like, all of the movies were out. Everybody knew the truth about Vader, and he wasn't this big intimidating force, which I know for people who watched the original movies as they came out, they always thought Vader was scary. I never felt that way. And I think seeing Vader from the perspective of just regular rebel troops on the ground would be absolutely terrifying. And I'm so excited to see that.
That was one of the reasons I started playing the Force Unleashed. Was the first level is Darth Vader going through and just mowing through people, and you feel just completely awesome and powerful. And that made me realize just how great that character was, that this is going to be him finally being able to do that on film. That it really is going to be terrifying as a villain if he's in there doing that.
And there's a little tiny Vader breath right near the end of the trailer, when
very subtle,
when Jyn is standing in the hallway and she has like the Imperial wear that she's wearing, you know, it looks like she's undercover or something, and the lights go on in a circle around her. Re-listen to the trailer. There's this very, very subtle Vader breath. I really think that he's going to be in this movie, and I'm excited for it.
I didn't even notice the breath until you mentioned it, and then the last time I watched it, I noticed it right there at the end. I'm like, yep, that is right as the music just kicks back up into the Imperial March, that they did a very good job of sound too. That it's definitely Star Wars sound, it's definitely John Williams' score, but they changed it enough to where I like the slowdown. I like the way they slowed the tempo of it. I liked everything. I am so excited about this movie that I can't even talk straight. Like I don't even know if I'm making sense right now.
Well, you're right. The music was really well done. And I think it's cool that the Force theme was in there. And the Force theme is also kind of Luke Skywalker's theme, and it's also kind of the Rebellion's theme. And that Force theme is playing, but it's playing very lightly on a piano. And underneath it, intertwined with it, is basically a new rendition of the Imperial March that's lower and more powerful and all done on like brass. So you get the feeling just from the music that the Rebellion is weak but hopeful, and the Empire is strong and intimidating. And it's just like, yes, that is what this movie needs to be. They nailed it.
And if the entire movie is anywhere near as well put together as the trailer is, and I know that this is a trailer and we can't expect a lot, but after the Force Awakens trailer being so awesome and the movie holding up just as well, I'm really hopeful, because this one really gave a feel of a movie that I want, that I didn't know I wanted, but that I see it, and I am excited to see a Star Wars movie without a lightsaber.
Yes, I didn't think that I would be excited for that, because you know, Jedi, Star Wars, Sith, like lightsabers are part of Star Wars at its core.
Yeah.
But I'm okay. I mean, you know, Vader might use one, I suppose, but if there's no lightsaber in this movie, I will be okay with it. And I'm surprised.
I know that I did not think that I was going to get to that point. I'm looking around my office recording this right now, and I see 2 toy lightsabers right now. And I know I have 2 of them in my office at work, and I have a stack of toy lightsabers in my storage room in the workshop. I'm a lightsaber guy. That's the part of Star Wars I love. So I never thought I would want to see a movie where I'm like, you know what? I kind of hope there aren't Jedi in this. Where I was, until this trailer, wanting to see Kanan, and I'm kind of hoping they don't.
Yeah, I hope they don't too. I hope it's all rebels on the ground. And I mean, you saw a lot of like new characters in it too.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't get the names, we didn't get the backstories, but we got glimpses. I mean, Mon Mothma was there. She's from the original trilogy. You know, she's the leader of the rebellion at that point. And the actress that they got for her is like a dead ringer for Mon Mothma. Like, it's instantly recognizable if you remember the original movies.
I stopped the trailer first, went back, and made sure that it wasn't like a digital recreation, that it was an actual actress there, instead of I thought that like they had somehow like de-aged like footage or something. Like they are spot on with Mon Mothma.
Yeah, it was really good. And then there's the other character who's kind of with Jyn throughout the whole trailer. He didn't get a name, but I'm wondering if that's Poe's father. Because his father is in one of the comic series that I read.
Yeah.
That was leading up to The Force Awakens. It's called Shattered Empire. It's like a 3 or 4 run comic. And his name is Kes Dameron. So he's Poe Dameron's father. And that comic basically shows that he is a rebel. He's a special forces rebel on the ground. And he ends up at like, you know, the battle on Endor alongside Han Solo. But you know that he's a rebel and he's a special force guy and he's a ground troop. So I saw that character in the trailer and he looks enough like Poe Dameron. I'm like, I wonder if that's his father. I wonder if they're going to incorporate it into the movie.
As soon as we stop recording on this, I'm going to watch it again with that in mind, because that never crossed my mind.
You got to let me know what you think about it. I'm already coming up with fan theories, obviously. And then the guy with the stick. There's a guy with a stick, and he fights off
It's an awesome stick.
It is. I mean, he's basically using it as like a sword, but it's just a stick. And I'm wondering if they're going to start pulling in Terrace Kasai, which is... you see, you already know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Terrace Kasai is like the one martial art in the old Star Wars expanded universe that was able to stay relevant in a world of blasters and, you know, lasers and high technology, basically. So if they manage to bring Terrace Kasai back and have a martial artist guy in the Star Wars universe, I think that would be really cool.
That would be fantastic. Man, I am off my game. You are completely destroying me on this one. Yep.
Well, I watched it a bunch today. And then
That's true.
there's a guy in a cloak who kneels in front of some kind of projector, and I'm wondering if that's Vader with his hood up. Like, we've never really seen him with his hood up, but it's a black cloaked figure. He kneels in front of a projector, which could be like the Emperor, and there's 2 royal guards flanking the projector. So I'm wondering if we saw the back of Vader.
Maybe so. It could also be Mads Mikkelsen's character, because they also showed someone at the very beginning of the trailer in brown with a mask and a hood up there, where it could also be kind of an Inquisitor type character going in to talk to Vader that way.
Oh, that's a good point. It could be one of those other ones.
Because Rebels has definitely laid the groundwork for that.
Yeah, and you can tell Rebels is trying to kill off characters and get to the point where it's ready for the Episode 4 universe to set up this movie and set up Episode 4. So who knows if there's going to be crossover between those.
I kind of hope there are. I hope there's a little bit. I hope there's at least, characters and references put in there, or even if just seeing Sabine's artwork in the background of something that I was really, really hoping to see in Force Awakens. I really hope we see her graffiti at some point in Rogue One.
I think it would be cool if they did little nods to Rebels without actually bringing in any of the characters. I think that could work.
That would be very cool.
And then the other character that I noticed is the guy that's in all white, and I'm wondering if that's Tarkin. I mean, he looks like he's all decked out in military regalia, and Tarkin is the one who is in charge of the Death Star construction by the end of things, and he eventually becomes Moff, or Grand Moff, I suppose. But before that, he's some kind of admiral or Grand Admiral. So I wonder if we're seeing a slightly younger Tarkin as like Grand Admiral of the Imperial Fleet, that guy who's dressed in all white, because he has a resemblance.
I hope so, and I hope that I'm really hoping it is Tarkin, because I did not want them to do basically a digital recreation of Peter Cushing that they had rumored that they were doing, because I think that feels cheap. I just don't like the idea from a technical standpoint. I don't like the idea from a fan standpoint if they're recasting everything else that, to do something like that, just to have Tarkin there, to have him there. So I really do hope that is Tarkin, and that they cast an actor doing it, just to be a younger Moff Tarkin, or Admiral Tarkin, or Grand Admiral Tarkin.
Yeah, whatever it ends up being. And then we also saw different kind of troopers too. We saw shadow troopers for the first time. Like, they're slowly incorporating these things that they liked from the old extended universe, the ones that are legends that no longer count. Like, they're cherry picking things and slowly bringing them into the canon, and I think it's really fun to watch which things they like and things that they can bring forward, and shadow
and other
troopers
stuff they can just ignore.
Yeah,
shadow troopers are going to be awesome in this. I am super excited.
it's basically, I mean, I'm trying to remember my lore. They're basically like special forces stormtroopers, right?
I think so. I don't remember as much about them as I probably should, but that's the way I'm thinking about them, as being the commando type special forces stealthy, just awesome.
Yeah, well, and if you think about the movie we're getting is like a Rebels special forces crew, they kind of have to go up against something of equivalent strength on the Empire side, so that might be the shadow troopers.
So what did you not like?
What do you mean?
Was there anything you didn't like about the trailer?
I don't think so. I think I was too busy being excited. Can I just be excited?
No, you can't. You have to not like something. What kind of nerd are you?
Oh, man. I didn't know this was going to be a question. What did you not like? You might as well get me started. Maybe you'll give me an idea.
I actually have one thing that I knew I wasn't going to like it from the get-go, though. I did not particularly care. It was the same problem I had with Force Awakens, too. I didn't like having a recognizable face. I saw Forrest Whitaker and saw Forrest Whitaker. I didn't see his character. I saw Forrest Whitaker acting in a Star Wars movie, which is what I was afraid was going to happen when I saw Adam Driver in Force Awakens, that I've seen him and seen so much stuff of him doing things that I didn't know if I was going to be able to see him as Kylo Ren. And once I saw his face in The Force Awakens, it got away. But in this trailer, I still saw Star Wars, Forrest Whitaker, Star Wars, Forrest Whitaker, Star Wars.
Yep. You know what? Now that you mention it, that did pull me out of the trailer for just a second. I mean, it's a tiny, tiny little gripe.
Very tiny little thing. It's a nitpick.
It is. But it's the same reason that, like, Simon Pegg is a gigantic Star Wars fan, but he knew that he wouldn't be able to be part of it because his face is so recognizable. So when J.J. Abrams offered him to try to, like, become a smaller part on The Force Awakens, they brought him in, and he's Unkar Plot. He's the guy who gives Rey the rations, and he's all done up in prosthetics so that you wouldn't be able to see his face, but Simon Pegg still gets to be in the movie because his face would take you out of it. And I think we're seeing a little bit about that here. You know, you see a face you recognize and it just pulls you out of it just slightly.
Just slightly. Just enough to be like, oh yeah, I forgot he was in this, instead of watching the trailer itself.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I didn't have that many nitpicks. I mean, I just liked it.
That was my only one, really. I just want to see more of it now.
I'm wondering, the Rebel base that we saw, do you think it's Yavin or do you think it's Dantooine? Because Yavin would be where they're at by episode 4.
By episode 4, yeah. Dantooine was abandoned and...
Yeah, Dantooine is the base that Princess Leia gives away when she's trapped on the Death Star for interrogation. She says it's on Dantooine. And then later you hear the Imperials searched it and they say there was a Rebel base, but it was abandoned. So I wonder if at this point in time, that's the Dantooine base, or if they've moved over and this is the Yavin base. I couldn't tell from the trailer.
It looked like the Yavin temples from... that
was the impression I got too.
With the impression, but you're right, given some of the stuff that they've... I don't know. Because it looked like the inside of the Resistance base as well from The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I don't think they would try to tie that together because that doesn't fit as smoothly.
Oh, no, I would just mean that they use the same kind of architecture. So,
yes.
Over and over through the years, where maybe it would be Dantooine, and we're just seeing what they have established for themselves as an art style and a creative team for the movie itself, actually.
Was there anything else about the trailer?
No, I think that pretty much covers my my fanboying out.
Okay, so the other thing that I noticed, which is more of a meta thing than actually about the trailer, this trailer released 2 days after we got the Star Wars Force Awakens DVD. So this tells me that they are always going to have the next Star Wars thing in front of us almost immediately, which means I get to be excited for Star Wars for the rest of my life forever.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too.
I'm good.
I noticed it today. Like
That's
days.
a very good
2
point.
days, I have the DVD in my hand and no new information about the next Star Wars, and then they give it to me, you know?
And then they give it, Disney is playing us, and they know exactly how to. They're playing us like a flute, and I'm quite all right.
I think we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's about it for our first Geek Out. But yeah.
So I'm pretty good at geeking. Yeah, I'm happy to have geeked out about the new Star Wars trailer.
Me too. This was fun. So little bonus content for you guys. These will pop up occasionally, but they shouldn't interfere with our normal episodes. Hopefully you liked it. That's it. Oh, I guess you guys can find us at the geek2geekcast@gmail.com or reach us on Twitter at geek2geekcast.
And if you have anything, if you want to chime in, yell at us at either of those places, and we will continue the conversation and continue geeking out with you guys.
Yeah, reach out on Twitter, reach out wherever. We'd love to geek out with you. That'd be fun.
Yep, and remember that I am at Professor Beej on Twitter. He is at GRN Mushroom, no E's, and let's geek out.